you got an opportunity to be on set and on screen with some heavy hitters
Mm,
in film and television.
mhm.
Two that I can name: Michael
Yeah.
Keaton
Hmm.
and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Were there some nuggets of information that you were presented from them as you're working? Like, did they give you something where you said, "Oh, that's how they did that," or "Oh, he said it like this"?
I'll tell you. With Michael Keaton, it was
Hey, 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 welcome back to another episode of The Couch with Rob Fields. I'm your host, Rob Fields, and today we have a special episode. Today, we have one of my former teachers turned superstar actress. she's 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 an individual with a ton of skill, with a ton of talent, with a ton of ability. And the thing that I love the most about her is her bubbly personality, which was what I was introduced to a long time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, give big a hand claps to Arischa Conner Frierson. Yeah,
what's
yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's up?
How you doing, Miss Connor? Formerly Miss Connor. How
I'm
you doing?
doing good, doing good. Glad to be here. It's like full circle.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I think I'll talk about that first time that I saw you on the screen, and I was like, you remember Leonardo DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street when he was watching TV, and
Hmm.
he looked at the screen and he was like, oh, that, that was me. Yeah. So, but listen, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing, anytime, of course. I could not say no.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, so this is where we'll start. So I kind of talked about it in the intro. Um, the first time that I met you was in 2001 at
Oh,
Clark. I was in eighth grade.
yeah.
So yeah, at Clark Middle School, and I heard about this science class because the students get to pick their classes, and they
Oh,
said you
wow.
have to get Miss Connor's class. She's so fun. Um, I mean, the way that it came off is you were like Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. Just
That's
just
funny.
such a great personality. You were so creative, and at that time, I didn't know what was happening until I got in your class, and it was a great experience. So, just tell me about becoming a science teacher. Like, what talk to me about. Let's start from there.
Okay, first let me say thank you for even saying that. Oh my gosh, because when you as a teacher, especially when you first start teaching, you don't even know if you're doing a good job. Like it's a learning experience. Every teacher is still learning. So I tried to make it as fun as I could while I was learning. Y'all were learning
Yeah.
from me, but I was learning from you as well.
Hmm.
But my avenue into teaching, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a singer. That was my thing. I just thought I was going to be the next Stacey Ladisoff. Y'all don't know who that is? Look her up. Stacey
Yes.
Ladisoff, trying to give.
Hmm.
But when I went to school, my dad was like, "I'm paying for either chemistry or biology. Those are your only choices." So I went to school, yeah, and I thought biology was easier than chemistry. So I majored in biology, and my story is so crazy because it took me 10 years to get my bachelor's degree. Like I was academically dismissed from college the first go round because even though I was a biology major, I was on the band. I was singing in a jazz band around the city. I mean,
Oh,
I went to Hampton University, and I was on the around Hampton Roads. I was singing in the jazz band, and
yeah,
I was
yeah.
just doing everything but going to class. Um, and so, because I just loved music so much, that's what I wanted to do. And so I was academically dismissed. And I ended up going to Claflin University. Claflin is like a family school. My grandfather went there, my grandmother went there, my aunts, uncles, my dad went there. And so I had the privilege of going there too. They helped me get in because it was kind of rough at that point.
It
And
was
so I
almost destiny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went
Yeah.
there, studied biology, but I was still doing my singing thing. I was the first singer on the jazz band there. So I was always out, and I started. That's where I started acting as well, because we did some plays at Claflin, and I was acting.
Hmm.
And so since when I finished, I taught high school first for a couple years. Oh, and then and then I ended up at Clark Middle School because one of my best friends was a teacher there. She was at that time she was Twanisha Foxworth. She taught sixth grade,
Hmm.
uh, line sister best friend, and so that's how I ended up at Clark, teaching science. Like
Yeah.
trying to hold everything together though. I was trying to do. I was because I was still singing and doing stuff and teaching at the same time.
So you had one foot on the stage and one foot in the classroom.
Always, always. It's always been like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. As a when you become an adult and you think back to school, you think back on some of your experiences, but I think the thing that stands out the most are the teachers that changed you in a way. You
Hmm.
know, I think we were on the back end of like what we would call the old school teachers. So
Oh,
they taught with the stone fist.
yeah.
So when you came in with this bubbly personality and you were, I mean, just energetic, and you were bringing a new way of teaching into the fold, is something that I always remembered. And there's only one other teacher that I remembered in that way, and she taught me in kindergarten.
Oh wow.
Miss Yeah, Miss C. Her name was Miss C. Enciola. She was
Uh-huh.
from Boston, and she moved down to Orangeburg. I was in Catholic school, and that's why I learned Spanish for the first time.
Oh wow.
So teachers like that, I just can't forget. A lot of other teachers I have forgotten, that's for sure. But I never forgot you.
Oh wow.
Um,
Oh
yeah,
wow. That makes me feel so good. Because listen, I thought
yeah,
I didn't know what I was doing, and you were so quiet. You were quiet.
yeah.
You were super duper quiet. I remember you though, but you were quiet.
Hmm. Yeah, put a basketball in my hand. No, we'll make some noise. We'll make some noise. So you talked about it a little bit. While you were explaining being at Claflin University and getting into teaching. At what point did the theater become a passion for you? Like something, because you said you love singing, but
Mhm.
being on stage or being in front of a camera, that's a different sensation, right? When did you fall in love with the theater?
I will tell you. So I was in Orangeburg for I think like 5 years maybe, and I was still singing, singing, singing. And then I got a advanced degree. I got my master's in educational technology, so that was taking me in another direction. And so that's when I moved to Columbia, South Carolina.
Hmm.
While in Columbia, I was an instructional technology specialist where I was training teachers to use integrate technology in the classroom. And we had a district choir in Richland 1. So I joined the district choir, singing, singing. And the guy who was over the district choir, his name's Walter Graham, he was like, "Hey, we're doing a play at Trustis Theater. We'd love for you to come out and audition for the play." So I auditioned for the play. It was Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Hmm.
And that's when I fell in love with theater, being on stage. Now, Smokey Joe's Cafe doesn't have any dialogue, it's songs. But I loved being on that stage. I remember the final song at Smokey Joe's Cafe is Stand By Me. And, we
Hmm.
were holding hands. It was our last show. I couldn't even sing the song because I was boo crying. I loved it. I loved the community of it. I loved meeting
Hmm.
the people. And I just loved being on stage. And so there was a girl in the play, Katrina Blanding, and she was like, "Hey, there's another urban theater here called Wild Productions, and the CEO saw you and wants you to come audition for a play." So I went and I auditioned for that. But that was that play. I didn't have any singing. It was all, just talking. And so
Hmm.
that's where everything started to really develop for me as, being an actor and being on stage. Cause oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many theater shows I've done here in Columbia, but that's like training ground. And then it just made me want to learn more. Like I'm like, oh, how can I be on TV? You know? So just
Yeah, yeah,
watching and taking notes and studying. Yeah.
yeah. So how did you develop your chops during that time? Like, what was your process? Going from role to role, because I mean, w- we can code switch. You know, we know how to do that type of stuff, right? But you know, to jump into another character, how did you develop that skill?
I learned while I was at Wow Productions about developing character. So what we would have to do is we would have to write a story about our character from birth to death. So that
Wow.
when the director would ask us questions, we could answer questions about our character. So I took that with me. Like any play I was in, I would always write. It wouldn't always be birth to death, but it would be like birth to present. I would write the whole story. So it gives you that backstory to why the character acts this way or is saying this or saying that. So that was like my first introduction to a process,
Hmm.
because learning lines is something else.
Yeah.
And me watching other actors, like there was an actor, Dana Bufford, is she's West Dana Bufford Weston now, but she had an agent and she had headshots and all this stuff, and I didn't know what it was, so I would just watch. I was just waiting in the wings, watching, like, well, how do I get a headshot? How do I get an agent? What are the things that I need to do? And then in doing those things, I started to take acting classes. And
Hmm.
in acting class, I got my foundational acting class was the Stanislavski method, and he's like the
Okay.
father of acting. And so
Right.
being able
Right.
to study that really gave me a process about how to learn who the character is, but also melding your own personality with the character. Because, the character, let's say the character's name is Pauline, right? I
Yeah.
can't I can't really be Pauline. All I can do is be Arisha, but I can bring Pauline to life with Arisha's experiences. So you have to, meld those two worlds together so that
Right.
you're still being authentically yourself, but just in different circumstances.
Okay. I've heard a lot of actors talk about method acting and how
Mhm.
demanding it is. First, I want to ask you: Have would you be willing to go that far to actually become the person you're acting out on film?
I would never say never. I've never used, well, I'm saying never. I said never say never, then I said I've never. But I haven't done used method as an acting technique for myself as of yet, but I won't say that it's something I'll never do because you never know. But different things work for different people.
Mm,
So method acting works for some, but some people get so deep in it that they lose themselves.
right.
Um,
Right.
there's this one character, he used to be on Law and Order, D'Onofrio. I don't remember his first name, but he
Hmm.
was so good, right? But
Hmm.
he did that character for so many years, he lost himself and he had to take a break.
Yeah.
Because like if you live like what's his name, Wesley Snipes, he did that for Blade, and every day he lived his life as Blade, and people hated him. But that was him.
Hmm.
That was part of him being, that method actor. So if
Hmm.
I guess if I got like a really really juicy role and I was having problems connecting it to who Arisha is, then I'd probably have to use those the method.
Yeah. Right. The method.
The method.
Yeah. So have you had a role, even though you haven't gone that deep in becoming that person, right? Have you had a role thus far that was very physically or mentally demanding, whereas you had to take that break after you left the set?
I I have been on stage and I've done a role where like I had to be very emotional. And after being so emotional, excuse me, on stage like that, I have to take a couple minutes. I didn't have to go on the next scene. You just have to take some time to be able to get out of that. And I didn't like the way that felt really because
Yeah.
I don't want to be sad and use things that make me sad. You know what I'm saying?
I was,
So
yeah. Right.
yeah. So when I did another show, and on that show that was on TV, I had to cry. I cried for like 2 hours.
Oh
But
my
this
God.
time, yeah, but this because when you're filming a scene, it's like over and over and over and over and over again. So 2 hours, I was crying. But I took a happy memory. My father is still living. People always ask me that, but I was remembering my father and me being in the park when we were young. We used to go to the park and jog, and we used to have a good time, and we used to listen to the Commodores. So
Okay.
taking those memories that were happy gets me emotional. So I use that instead.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I,
awesome.
I didn't have to pull myself out of a dark space. I was in a happy space. And then I remember going back to my hotel room later on. My eyes were still glossed over because I was 2 hours of crying, but I was still in a good place because I was using that happy, because there's a thin line,
Yes.
between, being happy and crying and being sad and crying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the way that these things work is especially when you start to hear the process, which is what you talked about, right? Once you start to hear the process of how these things come to life, it's almost like, wow. That it that goes into skill, that goes into talent, that goes into dedication, that goes into studying on
Oh,
your on your end. You just can't fall into this type of stuff. Like you have to have something inside of you that can process character, that can process lines, and also bring it to life. Like
yes.
like I was terrible at the church plays. Like they used to I'm still bad at reading scripts. Yeah, I need a teleprompter. But
And it's funny that you say that because like there are a lot of people inbox me, hey, I want to be an actor. Can you give me some tips? People, I want to be an actor. Can you give me a referral to your agency? No, I will not. Number one is you need to study it, just
yeah.
like just like an athlete, you have to practice. It's the same thing with acting. You have to practice and study. It is an art that you need to study. And the interesting thing about it, to me, what I've learned from myself as an actor, is you're just really learning how to be comfortable being vulnerable in front of other people. You know,
Hmm.
just being vulnerable and being open to allowing other people to see that vulnerability, because we all have um, insecurities. We all have been
Absolutely.
through painful things, but are you okay with being vulnerable in front of a camera and showing other people that? Yeah, so you
Right.
have to learn, gotta learn to do that.
Yeah, and speaking to that vulnerability, right? How often, if ever, do you go back and watch your work?
Listen, one of my husband is laughing. One of my favorite actors is Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Hmm.
Whom I've had the pleasure of working with.
We go get into that. Don't even worry.
But and he says that he always watches his work, because if he doesn't watch it, who else is going to watch it? So I'm that actor that I watch my stuff over and over and over and over again. I watch
Okay.
my I have no problem with watching myself on TV. And then I'll watch it and be like, okay, that was good. Then I try to, you know, take myself out of it and say, okay, this isn't Arisha watching Arisha. This is Arisha watching, this character. Just I
Yeah.
really watch myself. And I
Right.
I break it down. I take notes. Oh, I didn't like the way I did that. Oh, that was good. That was good. Oh, I could have done this different, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of artists, right, or actors or whoever, right? They have the mindset of once I put it out into the world, it's gone. Now I'm on to the next thing. So it's really interesting to hear you say that. Oh yeah, I watch my stuff. Don't I watch it? I mean, it's similar to being an athlete. So there's a parallel to all of this stuff, right? Um, as an athlete, I was the same way, and I would be obsessed with the film because it's like, okay, I should have been there quicker, or I had an opportunity here, or I can't miss that shot. But the problem with me was I, I took it too far. So I would go to the gym and train it for 3 hours, and then I would overthink at times. So then I had to kind of take the other approach where you say, okay, game is played. I watch the video for the small information, and then I just have to let it go because
Okay.
I overthink it. Yeah. So
Now, for me, like, auditioning is like that. Because when an actor auditions, I might do in a year 100 or so auditions, and within that year, I might get two yeses. You know what
okay.
I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you get a lot of no's. So when I first started, before I did my mindset work, I used to think it was me, like something was wrong with me. But now it's like when I do an audition, hey, I just throw it away. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I can't sit and just think about, oh, what did I do? I did something wrong. Let me do it again. Let me do it. Mm-mm. Do
Because it's
it.
out of your hands at that
Yeah.
point. You do
Do
the
it. Then
performance. Yeah.
let it go. Let
Yeah.
it go.
Okay. Yeah. So this is where we're going, and now we're going to the big time stuff. All right, so you big time. All right, so
Yeah.
tell me about that process of getting that first big role, quote quote big role. You know, where you on the big stage, the big lights, it's a big production, 1,200 cameras on set. You know, tell me about the process of getting that job.
And first, let me say it is a process. So anybody watching this, you're like, I want to be an actor. I've been acting for 2 years and I'm not getting any jobs. I want to quit. No, it. You'll always hear it said that acting is not a sprint; it is a marathon. So
Mm,
I'd been acting for uh, almost 10 years before I got my first major television. Well, it was a major
mhm,
streaming service role. Um, and what happened for me is I was teaching, and because I went back in the classroom,
okay.
and I was told myself I was going to take a year off. But during those years, I was doing auditions that I had to get in. So my students were helping me. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. They would hold up bulletin board paper behind me. Sometimes they would
Oh,
they would read for me.
I can't wait until your documentary comes out, Miss Connor. I
Listen,
can't wait.
those were the worst auditions, but I mean, they were fun. But and it's teaching skills too, because the kids are reading. We all working
Okay,
together.
nice.
But I was like, I couldn't continue to turn in auditions like that. I just couldn't. So I said I was going. That's when I decided I was going to take a year off, with the support of my very supportive spouse. Very
Hello.
supportive, yes. And so I took the year off, and that's when the shutdown happened. So it was like, oh my gosh, what's going on in this world? It was,
Oh man.
crazy. But what it allowed me to do was to take classes in LA because, in order to take classes in LA before COVID, you have to go to LA and take them in person. But when the
Hmm.
shutdown happened,
Ah,
doing
okay.
in-person classes anymore. So
Perfect timing.
yeah, so
Jeez.
I know. So I took classes with some of the top coaches in LA. And it exposed me to something totally different because these people were like, I'm in classes with people who you see on TV. So it was like,
Okay.
it took me up. It really bumped me up. It really did because I learned a lot from not only the coaches but the other people in class because we'd
Hmm.
have to do scenes and stuff together. And and then I did some one-on-one coaching with one of my coaches, Christine Horn. Like I said, mindset. And when she got my mindset straight, and I realized that who Arisha was enough, it changed the trajectory of everything because you have insecurities. I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
too old. Nobody want to watch this old. Oh, they're not picking me because I'm not Hollywood gorgeous. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I
Yeah.
could never pinpoint, why I wasn't getting these roles. But once I did that mindset training, I was like, oh, I'm okay the way I am. I stopped wearing makeup in my auditions. I stopped putting on wigs, and I was like, look, they just gonna get this. And that's when I
Okay.
started booking because I really feel like because I was just comfortable with myself and I was just like, hey, it's going to happen. And so the shutdown happened in March. In December is when I booked my first recurring co star role on a major streaming platform. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because a lot of times, when people, and that was my very first co star, everybody wants to get co star. Normally, a co star will have, one line, maybe, hey man, see you, yo, you looking good. That's a co-star. But I had a
Hmm.
recurring co-star. I was in 4 episodes,
That's
and then
big.
after that, because of casting, I think casting loved me. And then I booked my next show and I was in 6 episodes out of 8, you know, and then I booked
Wow.
my next one. So it's a process. It took years for me to even get to the point where I was comfortable being vulnerable,
I
you
think
know?
the beautiful thing about the mindset coaching that you were talking about is um, for f- for your coach, it seems right,
Mhm.
and you could always go and break down on some of the details, right, the key points. But it seems just by you explaining what happened, she required you to start inward.
Oh yeah.
So you have to master what's inside of you first
Yeah.
before you can do this acting thing and show others someone else's story.
You have
So so that process in itself is something that's necessary for all of us. I think all of us are yearning for that inward class or that lecture that you need to say to yourself, okay, let's start with me first.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's in everything.
Yep.
In everything. And then but you have to be open to it too. Like some
Hmm.
people aren't open to going inward and really looking at stuff and changing the way you think about yourself. And as I
Yeah.
usually say, because we tell a lot of lies to ourselves. We
Yep.
tell ourselves we can't do this, we can't do this. Oh, I can't, I'll never be able to have a house like that, or I'll never be. But those are lies. You have to, take replace those lies with truth. I can do anything that I put my mind to. I am amazing, and if I want that, I can have it. I'm gonna work for it, but because you can have anything that you desire. You just have to work for it and know that you can have it. But that's where that struggle comes, because some
Yeah.
people don't want to open their mind to receive that. They don't want to hear that. You
Yeah.
know?
Because sometimes it hurts,
Yeah.
and for a lot of us, the reason why we can't reach inward is because we want to avoid that pain. Because some of the
Yeah.
stuff that we go through in life is painful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It hurts,
Yeah.
and to have to go through that and really work through it, it's like I can just avoid it and be okay where I am. But
Right.
for you, you wanted to go to the next level. That's why you sought after
I
this
did.
mindset coach.
Yeah, and I would see her and she was just so positive all the time. And I'm like, why? I was a little bit of a pessimist. And I'm like, why is she so positive all the time? Why is she always. But then that's a sign that you need to go inward. When someone is so positive around you, you're like, oh, what is wrong with her?
Right.
Nothing is wrong with her. She just
Right.
found that she did the work and she found that joy. And it was a game changer for me, 100%
Nice.
working with her. It was a game changer.
Man, is yeah, this is really fun. I'm happy that we're having this conversation. Yeah. So this is where we're going to go with the conversation now. So once you caught fire, essentially,
Uh-huh.
you got an opportunity to be on set and on screen with some heavy hitters
Mm,
in film and television.
mhm.
Two that I can name: Michael
Yeah.
Keaton
Mhm.
and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
Were there some nuggets of information that you were presented from them as you're working? Like, did they give you something where you said, "Oh, that's how they did that," or "Oh, he said it like this"? Did they give you any? Did you catch any like things from them or maybe others? It doesn't have to be just the big stars, right? Were there some like what are some of the things that you catch on set that even took you to a higher level?
Now I'll tell you, with Michael Keaton, it was really just watching him. Like watching Samuel L. Jackson was like, and I always say it was like watching a master class, because he would get into character, but he was still himself. Like he has his own. If you ever watch any of his movies, he has like a rhythm in the way that he talks. Right?
Yep.
He has this rhythm, and that rhythm is still there, but he took it to another place. And then he has experience, like with dope with the show I was on.
Yeah.
Y'all, the reason I'm not saying, because the writers are on strike, and I know we're going to talk about that later. And the
Hmm.
actors are on
Hmm.
strike, trying to,
Yep.
um, but with that show, because based on his experiences, like he was pulling all of that in, and so I remember us doing a scene together, and he was his hands were shaking, and he was walking around in a circle. He was like, "Okay, all right, I'm ready," and then but then pulls you in, because like as you're looking at someone, like looking in their eyes, it's like you're having this conversation, and it makes the circumstances that are surrounding you feel real in that moment. It's
Yep.
like, because just like you and I are having a conversation, it's
Hmm.
like we're having a conversation, and
Right.
like we're really those people for that moment. It's so interesting, and so it made me see that it's okay for you to really be yourself, because it's you. It's that thing that's unique about you that's going to bring life to that character. I
Yes.
really learned that from him. And being with Samuel L. Jackson, that's where I heard him say, if I don't watch my movies, who else is going to watch them? And he has his favorite. He has a favorite. One of his movies is his favorite. He said, yeah, the most favorite movie I ever did was da 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 da. You
Yeah.
know, and I was like, okay. And then we're having conversations, so everybody's talking. We're in this room. Everybody's sitting on set. We hadn't started filming yet. Just talking, talking, talking. They're sitting at the table laughing. Dominique Fishback was there,
Yeah.
sitting at the table just laughing, having a conversation. And they're like, okay, okay, and scene. And it was just a continuation of that. Them just having fun with each other, just in those different circumstances.
Man.
But it was like a
Yeah.
continuation of the conversation. So that was a lesson for me. I was like, oh, so it's really me. It really is just you being yourself. If you think about like your favorite actors, especially A-list actors,
Mm.
when you see them from one role to the next, for the most part, and then you watch them in an interview, for the most part, you're seeing the same thing.
Right.
Watch their interviews, like Kevin Hart, for example. Watch him do interviews, and you watch him on screen, or you see a comedy show. You're seeing the same person. It's just
And,
in different places. And so that's what it
yeah.
taught me being on set with them is bring you because that's what's going to make this character really shine. Bring you.
And to your point, which is, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, but that's what puts the butts in seats, the
Yeah,
continuity,
yeah, it does.
So that's, I mean, they're coming to the theater to see this person, so why would they be someone else
Right.
on camera, or speak with a different cadence, or I don't know, like change their face entirely, like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And so but they're also character actors, right?
Hmm.
Character actors are people who will put on a character. And so when you see the character and then you meet them, they're nothing like that character, right?
Right,
They're
right,
nothing
right.
but a lot of A-listers are themselves. I think about like Regina Hall, right?
Oh yeah.
When
Hmm.
you see her interview, she's so funny, just like naturally. And then when you
Hmm.
see her in the movies, she's just bringing all that personality that she has just to the screen, and we love to see it.
Yeah.
We love to see
Every
it.
time, every time.
Yeah.
Ah. All right. So you talked about Samuel
Oh yeah.
Jackson.
Yes.
You talk about him. What would be one of your favorite roles? So you don't have to say the actual project that you were working on, but what would be your favorite role and why?
Oh, my favorite role so far. Mm. There is a role that I did. Um, like I'm trying to stay in this box, but there's a
Yeah.
role I did that no one has seen yet. I
Ah.
They might see it. They may see it a little later this year.
Yeah.
And I like that because, like, I know that I am a different type of person. Like you said, I'm bubbly. Back
Mhm.
in those days, people be like, "This is Miss Connor speaking to herself?" But I was just, I'd
Mhm.
be singing songs in my head, and so this particular character, I was a mom, and you don't really see moms like that. You don't see moms of color just kind of awkward a little bit.
Yeah, not on camera.
You don't
Mm-mm.
see that a lot. It's like you need to do it, but
Right.
but this character wasn't like that at all. Not like that at all. And it was just really me being myself, having a good time, laughing, crying, um, and I can't wait to see what that looks like because it was the first role where I was just really me, just being the mother that I am.
Mhm.
How I was as a teacher, that's the kind of mother I am. How you see me right now,
Yeah.
and I was able to do that and develop really strong relationships with the cast and crew of that particular project. So I think so far, because I was just so able to just bring Arisha.
Free in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
it
had
was
a
my first lead role.
hello.
Um,
Yeah.
And I
Wow.
love being able to do that because I like when TV brings you different views of our experiences because our experiences are not just one thing. As you know,
Hmm.
as a black female, you know, what the stereotype is, that's not how all black females are. You know, we just get
Hmm.
the sometimes it's negative stereotypes. So when you're able to see a show that brings something different, I love the opportunity to do that. Like I I really want to be a part of things that inspire and educate. I love positive. I just like all things positivity. Like I like some bad stuff sometimes, but I
Yeah.
just love, especially when there's positive outcomes. That's why I love rom com. Oh, love it because it's always like those Hallmark movies. They're all the same, but you know what I mean. You know what's gonna happen. You're gonna meet somebody. Something's gonna happen. Y'all gonna fall out. You're gonna get back together at the end. But people love it. You watch it over and over again because it's so
Yeah.
positive. It's like feel good. But then you can take notes from that too. I guess I don't have to, nag all the,
Yeah.
so
You know where it's going to go in the end. It's not going to end in divorce or,
right.
first
We
48 or something like that.
even though those are things that do happen in the world and we need to see that too, but
Yeah.
we don't need to be inundated with that all the time. Let's see some hey, let's make it 50-50 at least. Let's see some
Yeah.
positive and some, because positive things happen in the world all the time that we don't see.
You
And I
you know
like
what?
that.
You like to okay. Yeah, another actress that I feel brings herself every single time, which is one of my favorites, Jennifer Lewis.
Oh yeah, listen.
Like
Love
she's gonna
her.
be herself all the time. Like
Yes.
every and I heard her on another podcast on Questlove Supreme, and she was it was one of the most captivating interviews I've ever heard in my life because it felt like I was in like she was talking to me,
Yeah.
and
You should
it was an interview, right?
you should listen to her audiobook. Absolutely loved it. I mean, she shares her life. And when you're listening, because I love listening to audiobooks, when you're listening
Okay,
to it, it feels like, like that this is my friend, and
yeah,
you want to see that. You want to watch that.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's my
yeah.
girl Jennifer right there.
Every time, every time. So yeah, when you were talking about that freedom to be, I mean, she is one of the actresses. I mean, including Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
seen them in their element, where it's almost like you sitting in the room with them, and they're just like, "Yeah, MF," like with
This
Samuel L. It's like, okay,
this he is just himself. He is just himself. He is
uh, wow,
unapologetically.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I mean, you got to, he's done a ton of movies, but a lot of people don't really get to be in those rooms. So,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there by association,
Listen, like
What's
my
up,
last
Aunt?
my last day on set, um, he's tall. He's very tall.
Uh-huh.
And I was walking out, he said, "Come here, sugar." And he gave me this big bear hug, just nice. And it was just because he is my favorite actor. And the reason he is because I love how he is just unapologetically himself. It's
Hmm.
like you take me or you leave me. I'm giving you me. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I'm not going to change for you. I'm just going to be me. That's what I like about him.
Yeah.
So just being able to experience, scenes with him and just be able to watch him. I was in awe. I was a little awestruck my first day. I had to
Of
get myself
course.
together. I was.
Of course. Yeah, I can imagine. If I get on the court with LeBron James, I want to be like, whoa,
Right. Yeah.
this is really him. Like, and he gonna
It's
dunk on my head a couple times, and I'm be like, all right, we working now. All right.
so funny how there's so many, like you said earlier, correlations between acting and athletics.
Mm,
Because whenever my husband, he's getting into the acting thing on the back end because he watches with me, we talk about it, and when he gives me his ideas on something, he always relates it back to sports. But the relationship is, the analogies he gives me, they're so fitting, and I'm like, yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Sports and everything. I mean, the thing,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I got an opportunity to play sports. Because I processed the information in the correct way, if there is a
Mhm.
way. I just knew that some of this stuff wasn't just only for basketball.
Right.
From a communication, from accountability,
Yes.
preparation, dedication. Working on a team, knowing your role. All of this stuff is
Listen,
things that transfer to so many other facets of our lives.
it does because everything that you just said, that's acting.
Yeah,
That's
there you
acting
go.
too. Yeah.
So we hope to see Coach Fry in the next Coach Carter film. Let's put that up. Coach Coach Carter quarter two.
That would be
Yeah.
something. I'd love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So listen, we we talked about the acting portion and finding your passion um in theater, TV
Mhm.
and film. There's a major event taking place in the TV and film industry right now. Tell us a little bit about the writer actor strike and what this means for the industry from your end. Not the higher ups, but from where you stand.
Right. And so I am a member of the union, SAG AFTRA.
Mm,
And first, it was the Writers Guild of America that went on strike first. And I remember we did our strike authorization. Boom, and I voted yes, let's strike. And it's because when the main thing for me is, there's so many different points, but with streaming services, when SAG after went to the table and they created the contracts for streaming years ago, streaming wasn't making big money. It was
right,
still net
right.
ABC, NBC, and they had good contracts with the networks. And so as things changed and streaming grew and grew and grew, the people who are making money don't want to change the percentages and change the contracts. It's
Hmm.
almost like when inflation changes, we got to make some changes, to meet that, and they're
Right.
they're not trying to make those changes to meet it, and using and I know that things were lost when COVID happened, but they're still making billions, millions, and billions of dollars. When you have someone at one of the top studios making $3 billion last year, but you don't want to go up 6% for actors or writers. I mean, to me, it sounds like greed. It's greed. It's greed.
You can't even
It's
spend that much money in a lifetime.
right. So you
Three
you just
billion.
want, yeah, 3 billion, 3 billion, three
Mm,
billion
yeah.
dollars last year. And so, and I don't understand why they don't want to be flexible and make those changes. So, um, it 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 doesn't make sense to me. And of course, AI, artificial intelligence, because they're saying that's one of the points that they want background actors don't make a lot of money anyway. They don't get residuals or anything. They come and you can't do anything without you need them. Background
Mm,
actors are crucial. If we're watching a Marvel movie and you don't see people walking on the street or people running away, it if it was
yeah.
just blank, it's not believable. So
Hmm.
background is needed. And you want to bring background actors in, have them do one day of work, pay them for that one day. Let's say it's $100 for that one day. Do a 360-degree scan, send them home, and use their likeness, but never pay them again. That's wrong. That is wrong on so
That
many
is
levels.
horrible.
It's just wrong. And
Oh
I was
my
watching. There was
god.
this movie. It's on Disney. I don't know the name of the movie. It's Prom something. If you look it up, and there's a part in the movie where they have AI filling in the audience, and the AI it's a crazy video because you can tell it's AI, and they're moving like this, kind of like there are people surrounding them. They were just open areas in the bleachers, and they're just like And it's like, what
Whoa.
is this? Yeah, it's crazy. And then if they use someone's likeness to do that, that person isn't getting paid for that.
They don't even
Anytime,
get points on any films that their likeness is being used in the future.
right? They want to use their likeness for perpetuity, with and not compensate them at all, and that's wrong.
Prom Pact. That's the name of the movie.
Okay, that scene is crazy.
Prom
When I saw that, I
Pact.
was like, "What is this?" It's crazy. Have you seen it? Did you see it when they were
No,
in the?
I just googled it. I just did a search and I found it would I mean I found it just like that, right? Snap of a finger. So let me ask you this. You talked about voting. Why would someone vote no?
I know that I think a big part of it would be fear because when you go on strike, what does that mean? That means that you're not able to work.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that comes into the money, and it is affecting a lot of people. One thing that I really love is that SAG has a foundation that big actors. I think the first actor was The Rock, donated six figures
Yeah.
to the SAG Foundation. So if an actor who's a member of SAG isn't able to pay bills or pay their rent, they can go to the SAG Foundation and apply for that money. And I think
To get
that
a stipend.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. That we, the SAG, it's still within it. We look out for each other, and so I think,
Yeah.
like I said, the thing with that is the fear. Like, how am I going to eat? I'm not going to be able to work, and a lot of people are out of work right now because of it. But if we can just hold strong, I think that the other end of it is going to be beneficial for everyone.
I'm
Definitely.
I'm sitting here trying to think of a workaround, and of course I'm not a professional in this. But so now we're starting to see actors such as
Hmm.
Tyler Perry open up their own studios. How could Kevin Hart has a studio?
Yep.
Um, I mean, there are a number of people who are now opening. LeBron James. These people have
Yeah.
studios.
Yeah.
Could they be the catalyst to film these things and pay people a reasonable, fair percentage? I mean, of course, they wouldn't have the machine behind them to put this stuff out, but I mean, a person like LeBron James is the machine. Tyler
Yeah.
Perry, they are the machine. If they say that we have a film with actors where we paid them fairly, we're going to release this film tomorrow.
Yeah, and I
You know,
think Tyler Perry is definitely. There's another young woman, I don't know her name, but she
hmm
just opened up her own studio in Atlanta as well. A black woman opened her own
hmm
studio, but yeah, Tyler Perry definitely. Like, he's not a member, if I'm not mistaken. He's not a member of the WGA, so he was still writing. He was still writing before the actor strike. He's
okay,
still writing and creating content. But now that there's the actor strike, they've had to postpone some of their stuff too. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people doing interviews or various actors talking on when they're online, on the strike lines,
hmm
saying that we we are we are strong enough in these numbers to create our own systems and start to create our own independent projects and do things and not have to and not have to rely on these big studios. Because you know how much strength you have in numbers.
oh yeah,
Uh, and like I'm a member of a production company right now, and they're filming a series that is it's under the SAG micro budget. So SAG micro budget and SAG student films are you're able to still do those during the strike because they're not big money. Independent films like SAG is offering waivers to independent films that are independent of the AMPTP, which is the big conglomerate of all those streaming companies.
yes,
Uh, but they're giving them waivers because they're saying, yes, we will adhere to all of your demands. And so SAG is doing these waivers to show the AMPTP you can adhere to these demands too, because if these independent studios can, you bigger studios that are making way more money than these independent studios, you can do it too. But they
yeah.
just won't budge. Hopefully they
Oh,
will, but it's just I encourage anybody because I see I see a lot of comments online where people are like, why am I going to support, a SAG strike? These people are millionaires. They don't, but no, everybody is not a
Yep.
millionaire.
You can't paint that with a broad brushstroke. Like,
Yeah, we're this is our job. We're working actors, just like you're going to your job. Like when I was going to my job as a teacher, I'm getting a check. You know, and being an actor is it's like contract work. You're not guaranteed to work. You
right.
just work on the craft, and we put a lot of money into that. Like I don't. No one's giving me money to take a class. I'm using my money to pay for this class. No one's giving me money to take headshots. I'm using my money to take headshots in hopes of getting a job.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I say delve a little bit deeper into it so that you can understand from an actor's perspective, because those big time actors, that's like what, 1, 2, maybe 5% of actors are
Yeah.
making
Exactly.
money like that.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a. I'm happy that you were able to explain it because for me, I've heard about it, but I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. And it's not talked about enough because there's still content coming out on all of these streaming sites. So
yeah,
they have a backlog of things that are supposed to be
yeah,
released, right? So
they
they're
do.
just living off of this backlog. And for real movie goers and, um, I don't know, critics, if you will, they can see that, yeah, this is some C list type stuff that y'all are releasing now. You just
Yeah,
have a big name on it and, that's how you're selling it. But, a lot of people are starting to see that, oh, okay, yeah,
right,
this doesn't feel, there's no, the connectivity is not there because it
right.
feels rushed or, something like that, right?
Where people are really feeling it is if you watch those Saturday Night Live, because
Oh yeah.
those writers are from
Oh yeah.
WGA. Everything you're seeing now is a rerun. The
Yeah.
night shows, like those nightly shows,
Oh yeah.
all of those, they're all reruns because they're all WGA writers. So all
Oh
you're getting is reruns, and think it's going to run out. Content is going to run out now, because
yeah.
like a lot of things are filmed maybe like a year or months in advance. So like I just did a show that is a big show, can't say the name of it, but
Hey.
they filmed the whole season and it's going to be released in March, but we finished it before the strikes because they knew it was impending. So they
yeah.
said, okay, we're going to finish this, we're going to get this done. And so they got it done before the strike happened. And so content is going to be coming out, but there's going to be it's going to stop because everything is halted except for independent projects. So
Wow. Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't even take that into consideration.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
My
I
husband
mean it's
was watching Saturday Night Live, and it was the episode with Kiki Palmer. I was like, wait a
yeah.
minute, that's old. He's like, yeah, because everything now is on repeat until the strike comes to stop.
Yeah, I didn't even take that into consideration. First of all, not a diss to SNL, but it's fell off quite a bit, so but still, that's a show that comes on weekly,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a brand new show every single week, and now they're showing reruns. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
and look,
hopefully for the sake of all of you actors and writers, especially you, right? Like I hope that you do get a fair share because there's no way that someone who's not even an actor or a writer is getting 3 billion dollars from the film industry. Like, come
yeah,
on, dude. Like,
because because of the
come on.
work that the writers and the actors are doing, you're getting the biggest piece of the pie, and we're not, we're not even asking for, to give us 50%. It's like we're just asking for 3% more.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah, yeah. And that's reasonable. It's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Miss Connor Fries,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
are towards the end of the episode, and I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
Um, the first will be this: what is your dream role?
My
You don't.
dream role,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna sound crazy, but I love, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it. That's a dream, But I love the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I don't know why it's like my favorite. It
Yeah.
is. I just love Guardians of the Galaxy. I would love to do be in be it a TV show or a movie. You know, Guardians of the or something like that. I
Yeah.
just I think that would be fun because it just and like I grew up watching Star Wars. I love sci-fi.
Yeah. It's a very, very fun
Yeah,
series.
yeah, yeah. Something
Yeah.
like that. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the second question,
Okay.
and this is something that I like to ask everyone because I like to think of crazy ideas, and I'm my mind is always racing, especially post basketball. But manifestation is really big on on the show, and I like to ask everyone on the show to manifest your craziest dream or idea, and that could be personally or professionally. So, what what is the dream scenario in your life, and that could be personal or professional or both. Your choice. What would that be?
Okay. Dream scenario. After I've won a Grammy, an Academy Award, and an Emmy, and
Hmm.
I'm about to star in my own Broadway show. I'm one of the stars in the Broadway show, going on my way to my EGOT. I,
Hmm.
I decide to take a break before my Broadway show begins, and I take my whole family, all my family, and my friends,
Hmm.
and we all go on a trip. It's somewhere in the Caribbean, probably Barbados. I'm paying for everything, so they don't have to worry about. I'm laying it all out. All my
Show up.
family and friends. All y'all got to do is show up. I got your plane. I'm taking care of your travel. I'm taking care of your stay. I'm taking care of your food. I'm taking care of everything. And we are all going and communing together, and just relaxing and enjoying each other. And it's not a worry for me because, of course, I'm doing my thing.
The work is
But
already done.
yeah,
Yeah.
the work is already so that togetherness and us enjoying each other. Yeah, on the beach, all expenses paid. I got you.
Hey, there we go. Listen, the reason why I like to have this on the show is because when all of this happens, I want you to come back to the show and make reference and say, "See, I
That,
told y'all I was gonna get my EGOT, and while I'm sitting here sipping a pina colada with my feet up, um, this is I said it on September 3rd, 2023. All right, so you can always reference back to this.
all right, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yes. So
Manifestation is real now. I believe in that. Before we go, just a
yeah.
real short story.
Okay.
And my husband can attest to it. I've always said I wanted to work with Samuel L. Jackson. Now, manifestation is real. You got to put in some work. So I saw he was going to be doing this show. And I said, okay, I bought the book. I read the book. Then I visualized myself as a character. I put a picture out on social media with myself as the character, as that
Okay.
particular character. And then I put a picture of myself and Samuel Jackson out on my social media. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see both
Uh huh.
of me and Samuel Jackson. And I think it was like January of whatever that next year was. The auditions started going out, and I got one. I was like, ah! I did the audition, but I didn't hear anything back. But the casting director sent me another role. It was a smaller role, and I was like, I know I got this. I know that this role. I just knew that this role was mine. I did.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was a I auditioned for it, got a call back, did the call back. The director was like, I really already made up my mind. I just wanted to see you again. And
Wow.
from being in, I think, 2 episodes to being in 3. Yeah. So that
Wow.
manifestation for real is real. So I appreciate you doing that because when I'm on the beach, surrounded by all my family and friends, and all of us are out there relaxing, I'm gonna
Mm.
find you and call you, and I'm gonna say thank you again.
Hello. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, I mean, listen, the crazier the dream, the sweeter the cake. That's how I feel. And like you said, manifestation is nothing without work. And
Yes,
you've been doing the work. You've been putting in some work.
gotta put in
So
that work.
gotta put in the work. So listen, before we wrap up, give everyone your socials so we can follow your journey. And yeah, then we'll wrap up after that.
Well, on Facebook, you can find me as Arischa Conner. I'm Arischa Conner Frierson. You'll see that, but I can't take no more friends, and I can't change my page over professional. I'm like, what's up? So,
Oh wow.
Arischa Conner on Instagram. Arischa is a star. I am on X, but I don't really go on there because it's not Twitter anymore. It's like it's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a little weird.
Yeah, it is. I'm Arischa Conner on there, but mostly I'm on Facebook and Instagram all the time. I had a TikTok too, Arischa Conner. Every now and then I go on TikTok and do a little something.
Nice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go and follow Miss Conner Frierson. She said her IG and Facebook is litty lit. Okay.
Yeah,
We also
yeah,
want to follow her journey and make sure we send traffic to her shows, the ones that she's already done, by the way.
yeah.
But yeah, go follow, tap in with Miss Conner Frierson. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do when we get up out of the show. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it costs nothing to be good to someone. Be good to someone today. I'm your host, Rob Fields. She's Arischa Conner Frierson. And you just watched another episode of The Couch with Rob Fields. We catch you on the next one. Peace.